But for me, I'm pretty much like all your heavy metal fans out there. I pretty much listen to my own music in my house. I blast it, and that's pretty much. I have my own radio station. But I think it's awesome that there's guys like you supporting this music. I just think that, like I said this earlier, and I hate to sound like a broken record, ta-da-ta-da, but the broken record thing is we need to organize everybody all over again and get the mindset that if we're really going to be into underground metal, we need to network with each other, tell each other about shows like you're doing right now. You're telling people about radio stations and bands that they probably have never heard of before, and that's awesome, So what I was going to tell you too before this is over, because I don't know. I got plenty of time because I got beer. I got beer right here, so I can hang out for a day. But I think we should do this again with the same guys, and we should schedule it so we can actually promote it. So that way you have a fuckload more of headbangers listening to your show, and that way we can actually start organizing this thing. Because, like the guys you had on before, Jeffrey Rappaport and Keith Carney, those guys are heavily involved in this kind of music, and so are you. And this is the start of something if we all pitch in and try to help each other out. It's like, even with Keith Carney, he has no idea that if we work together, Hirax will come out to the East Coast and play a show out there. We just need to organize it and make sure that the date is set up far enough in advance that we can do it. It's just planning. Like, that's what's great about all headbangers. We don't get enough credit for being as smart as we are. We're very smart.
Right.
You just get everybody organizing the shit,
Yeah. What was the favorite band you've ever toured with?
Wow, that's a really good question. There's a few. I'll give you like a handful. One of them would have to be Exodus, because we get along with them great. We've got along with them since day one. Like in the early days when we all just, when we first got our record deals, or even before that, like 1984, we would play together. So Exodus, we've always got along with them great. Their original singer, Paul Bailoff, was an amazing dude, great guy.
Oh, yeah.
So they would be one of my favorite bands to tour with. Recently, it'd probably be Violator, because they're good friends of ours, and we've done a few shows with them, and they're just great guys, and they really love metal. Whenever you play with bands that truly like metal and sit down and you talk about it and you discuss, bands that you love, that's amazing. And then just certain people along the years, like there's a guy named Phil DeMoe. He plays, I think now he's in Machine Head, but he used to be in Violence. And whenever we play in the Bay Area up in San Francisco, he usually comes out to the shows, and he's just a really great guy, really down to earth. So, the stories can go on and on, because Hirax has a pretty long history in the metal scene. So over the years, we've just met great people. Oh yeah, another band would probably be Sabat from Japan. Those guys are just amazing, and they're crazy Japanese heavy metal dudes. Like, they are total metal. And one more band, and they're not even our style, but for some reason we work really well together. There's a band from Sweden called Niflheim, and they're fucking amazing. Just brutal metal, like the most extreme black evil metal of all time. They're one of the best bands, but we get along great with the funny thing about Hirax, even though we're a thrash metal band, we get along with so many other styles of bands. It's like we're just very fortunate. Usually touring is always a pleasure. We're so lucky that, people love the band so much, and that we get to meet. The fans are the best. You always hear bands say that, but no, the Hirax fans that we meet on the road are insanely cool. Like, we party, we talk metal, we sit down and eat food in different countries with people that normally we wouldn't even be able to have a conversation, because there's language barriers, like when we're in South America or we're in Japan, or, just different countries. Brazil, they speak Portuguese, but through heavy metal, we're able to talk and communicate. It's just amazing. So, it's just, I'm very fortunate, and I love doing what I do.
All right, we're gonna take another break if that's all right.
Yeah, it's fine, man. I got beer. I'm cool. I'm
All
here to hang
right.
out.
So I'll call right back after the song, and this song is "The Damned" by the Plasmatics in honor of Wendy O. Williams, who died today.
By the way,
Good
she
stuff.
was awesome. I did a show with her back in the '80s. Amazing. So I'm glad you're playing some Wendy O. Williams. Crank that shit up loud.
All right, I'll talk back as soon as the song's over.
You got it.
All right, this is James Louderback from the Forge here with Katon W to Pena again, and all right, we just played "The Damned" by by the Plasmatics, and you said you were on a show with her or just met her.
Yeah, no, we did a show with her back in 1987 at a place called Fender's Ballroom in Long Beach, California. It's awesome. I feel fortunate enough to have done a show with her, but she's definitely a legend. And that's like I was saying earlier, a lot of people don't, even a band like the Plasmatics, a lot of people don't know who they are, and they should, kind of go back and do their history homework and learn about the Plasmatics, or even when she did WOW, But yeah, they should check out that stuff because a lot of that music affected what's going on now, So those are classics. That's cool that you played some of that music.
All right.
Oh, and by the way, I figured out the name of that station from the Bay Area. It's called 107.7 The Bone.
Oh yeah.
And the DJ that does a real sick ass metal show, her name's Nikki Black.
Sweet. I'll make sure people check it out.
Yeah, normally those shows are on Sunday nights because that's when a lot of the, or Sundays, but a lot of those off the hook metal shows are on Sundays normally.
Here's a question about I guess band integrity. In terms of consistency, do you ever feel like it's a bad idea for a band to be way too consistent, or do you think it's bad to do something where you change your genre almost entirely? Or, my theory was that if a band wants to change their genre, they should, start off a side project so they don't have to disappoint their fans they currently have. But what's your opinion on that?
I think that's a pretty damn good theory. I think, when you've created something really cool, your fans that love that style of what you did, they kind of want more of that, it's okay to be a little bit daring, to try a few things, but if you don't nail it, basically you're putting your ass on the line, and that's okay if you've got the balls to do it. You've got to accept it. Either it's going to go really well or it's going to go horribly wrong. I think the best thing to do is try to be as consistent as possible. I think you should live and die by that. You only live once. And what I'm learning, the more that Hirax does newer albums, is every record you should try to do it like it's your last album, because it might be. So I think consistency is definitely the way to go, and I think that the fans deserve nothing less than the best work you can give them. It's out of respect to your fans. I think that should always be the thing that you think about whenever you're writing an album. How can I make my fans proud instead of how can I make another dollar? A lot of the times when bands think about money, that's usually when they make their shittiest music. Right. I think you should think about integrity and think about the fans that are coming to your shows and buying your tickets and buying your T-shirts. That's the most important thing. It's
a good theory. I share a similar theory with movies as well. I kind of feel like certain movies have been not as not as engaging as just certain movies, not just in general, but with remake fad and stuff like that. A lot of times I feel like maybe that has to do with musical influence in a sense, because people from different subcultures seem to have just in general different tastes. And during the 80s, a lot of people consider that the highlight of the horror stuff. There was a lot of metal bands singing about horror movies and stuff. But
Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah. So you think do you think there's any sort of correlation between subcultures strength and the movie industry right now?
Yeah, I think that it's all art, you know, like even like what you're doing right now is an art form, you know, so communications, music, how to convey an idea, whether it's through a movie or through music. You have to, what's funny, when I first started doing music, I had no fucking idea that you really have to come up with good ideas and you have to figure out the best way to present that idea. It's kind of like when you go into a restaurant and you sit down and you get some food on a plate and it shows up. And if the food looks good and it tastes good, then it's a total bonus. But it can look good and still taste like shit. You know, like there are bands that are in movies that are the same way. Like you'll see a trailer for a movie and that was the whole movie in the fucking trailer. You know, so sometimes you'll see a great trailer and the movie will suck, you know, which is the worst. But I think it's great when you see a great trailer and then the movie blows it away, you know. So I think it's the same with music. Like sometimes they'll leak certain tracks off of a record. Like I thought it was kind of interesting what happened with the last Morbid Angel album. You know, they leaked a little bit of tracks, and then when they finally released the whole record, their diehard fans, I've never seen people, it was like a bunch of piranhas on a piece of meat. Like, I probably have never seen a record so brutally attacked in all the years I've been doing metal. Like, it was pretty amazing to see the response on that last Morbid Angel record. I kind of felt sorry for those guys. I know that what I'm getting at is, like, you're talking about, like, trying to, you know, have integrity and great quality each release you do. The same with, like, even a movie. Well, the same happens with records. And I think sometimes bands take too many chances and they try to throw all these different formulas on there because they're trying to hit different markets. And the worst thing with that kind of shit is usually record labels, and the same thing happens with movies, is there's outside influences where people are saying, hey, if you put like a fucking techno song on there, you'll get this audience. Yeah. And if you put like a gothic song on here, you'll get this audience. Well, it's like, what about your original fan base who have been buying your records from the beginning of your career till the end of your career? Those are the people that matter more than the record executives and the movie executives. So I think integrity is the most important thing, man. Like it's you live and die by integrity.
It's a great answer. My friend Colin Larimer, he asks, what is your favorite movie?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, see, the thing is, I love horror movies. For me, it's like, who doesn't? But I know there are a lot of people that don't. Gore movies are great, too. Because, I mean, obviously, I'm into metal, so how could I not like that shit? Right. But I'm a big comedy guy. I love comedy movies, you know. I grew up on guys like Richard Pryor and people like that. And, you know, so it's back to the movie thing. There's a lot. There's like Evil Dead, you know, even some of the corny 80 movies, like from the 80s that were early, like the first Freddy Krueger movie, Nightmare on Elm Street. Even though now when I watch it, I'm like, that movie kind of sucks. But back in the 80s, it was genius, you know? So, yeah, a lot of those, and probably one of my all-time favorites would probably be Phantasm. Do you remember that movie? It's old school.
1979 with the tall man in the cemetery and the small zombies.
Yeah, the first one's amazing, and then obviously The Exorcist. Fuck, man, that movie. When I first saw it, I mean, no matter who you were, that movie freaked you out. It was so badass, you know. So I probably might have to go with The Exorcist because there's so many classic moments through that whole fucking movie. Like, it's mind blowing. You know, that movie. It still stands the test of time. Like, even when the priest first shows up to the house and he gets out of the taxi and he looks up at the window, that's like one of the most intense parts of the film, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I highly suggest watch it again from beginning to end and just kick back and really get into The Exorcist. That movie's amazing.